We meet tonight on the land of the Kaurna people, and we recognise their spiritual and cultural relationship with this land. Well, hello, and welcome to the Moon Inside You film fundraiser. We hope that you've bid generously on the silent auction, which is to my right-hand side. What's the sound like, by the way? It sounds very tinny from here. Good, I'm getting some nods, so that's great, excellent. Well, we're basically at a sellout, so congratulations to you. Yeah, you can go woohoo, we're amazed. We're absolutely thrilled and delighted, and thank you so much for your input and your persistence and enthusiasm in coming along. So my name's Leanne Moffat, and together with Fiona House, we had a vision about 6 months ago. Fiona's going to tell you a little bit more about it, but essentially we decided to leap into the unknown and put tonight's event on. And tonight's event is about supporting women in Uganda during their time of menstruation. And we wanted to do that because a lot of the things that these women have to go through are things that I suspect many of you take for granted in Western society. And these include items such as being able to continuously go to work and school, things that a lot of these women just can't do. They have to resort to things such as using bamboo leaves, banana leaves, old rags, wads of toilet paper for their sanitary hygiene. Whilst in Western society, menstruation can be seen as an embarrassing and often a highly private affair, really the issues that we face are nothing compared to many women in parts of the world who not only face the embarrassment but also cultural shame and ostracisation from the culture during that time. So tonight we come here to embrace menstruation and explore what it might look like in a full and generous society. All profits from this evening will go to plan to support their Ugandan menstrual hygiene program, so great cause. There are many, many people who we want to thank for coming, and not only coming tonight, but for being part of the process of bringing tonight together, and we absolutely could not have done this without you. So our drinks, first of all, I should mention the movie director, Diana Fabianova, who has generously given us complimentary rights to show the film that you're about to watch this evening. She didn't have to do that, so we think that was incredibly generous of her to do. In addition to that, our drinks sponsors, Cooper's Brewery, Deviation Road Winery, Christy Edwards and Bird in Hand. Other contributors, Johnny's Popcorn, Rainbow Tree, Better Life Distributors, Twisted Tonic Tea, Tom Organics, Organics for Hair, Skin and Body, and P&A Organic Meat. At which point I'm just going to pause ever so briefly because one lucky person in the audience in their goodie bag has a $50 voucher from P&A Organic Meat, which we accidentally put into your bag. So congratulations, whoever has that. It was meant to be part of our silent auction, but well done to you. So our silent auction donors list is very extensive. I do want to go through them because they've been exceedingly generous. Organic for Hair, Skin and Body, Metamorphic, Okota Barrels Wine, Cooper's Brewery, Carissa May Bridal Accessories, Bellis Bars, Tom Organics, The Leaders Coach, Anne-Marie Morrissey, who was a late apology this evening. I've just received a phone call from her. Your Body, Your Temple, Conscious Clean Living, Susanna Parkinson, Sophia Cavorto, UAC 6, Prospect Home and Garden, State Swim, Berries in Bloom and Style House. Also our thanks go to the Mercury for being wonderfully accommodating, and of course our volunteers who have been the glue tonight. You should have seen this place at 6 o'clock. Thank you all very, very much. Can we also give a short round of applause to the photographer Johannes Lyon, who I've just met this evening, and Stacey? Thank you. Two short speeches for you, one from Fiona House to tell you a bit more about the birthing of this project for her and the event tonight. And also Mia Handshin, we're very delighted to have you with us, a planned volunteer. She's going to give you a bit more information on where the profits from this evening will go to. So without further ado, Fiona.
Thanks, Leanne. Good evening. As Leanne said, my name's Fiona House. It's been 4 years since I first saw Moon Inside You and felt inspired to spread it to as many people that I knew. It was earlier this year in February when Leanne and I were chatting about wanting to make a difference to people's lives and empower women through connection and social change that the idea was reborn. It was her willingness to say, let's do it, which gave me the partnership and the support to birth this vision and make it a reality. So thank you, Leanne. So I'm a holistic body worker. I do a range of massage modalities, mostly focusing on nourishing and supporting women to be centred, balanced and connected to themselves in their life. One of the modalities that I do is called Mind Abdominal Therapy, and this is a holistic approach to better reproductive and digestive health. A common reason why women come to see me is that they're trying to get pregnant or they have reproductive or menstrual issues. Often during the appointment, I see they're disconnected from their menstrual cycle and their body, and they don't initially recognise the impact that this has on their reproductive health and even their relationships. The documentary that we're seeing tonight, The Moon Inside You, is about how this comes about. Through a series of interviews with experts of various kinds and a wonderful little video diary through a young girl as she approaches and then reaches menarche, we see how we're told to experience menstruation and that this is just a story. It's not a reality. When I first saw this film, I realised it can help women begin to explore and understand and connect with their menstrual cycle and see it as a positive part of being a woman. For many, the reason they're disconnected is that menstruation is just not recognised in our society. It's seen as a weakness or a hassle. It's seen as a curse. Yet the more connected we can be with it, the more positive the experience our monthly cycle can be. I really thought that I wanted every woman to see this film. Our menstruation cycle and our reproductive health shouldn't be something that we only think about when we have painful cycles, reproductive issues, or we're failing to get pregnant and we're saying, what is wrong? Many people, many women, actually lack basic reproductive knowledge. I understand that we're taught these things and these basics at school, but often when we're told things only once, we actually forget it. Why isn't this studied in biology every year and built upon as teenagers develop? Why don't we start educating and empowering young 10, 12 and 14-year-old girls so they can have really joyful experiences when they get their period? And then they can have a really good relationship with their body and a really good relationship with their cycles and to really understand it in depth. This is their body. This would greatly support women in their lives as they would understand that our period is a fantastic way to monitor our stress levels, and then we would know about what to do if we became unwell. So this is all a product of entrenched cultural taboos, hiding your period from your family or your boyfriend and never discussing it, and for some, seeing it as dirty and ugly. Why can't there be a positive rite of passage, a welcoming acknowledgement of womanhood when a girl first gets her period? This is quite possibly her most important rite of passage in her life. I also ask, when is today's society going to recognise and give space for women when they're bleeding? Women need to retreat during this time. We need to rest, to sleep, to dream, to create. The gifts that she learns during these bleeding days and the rest that she receives is given back when she re-enters the world into her family. But instead of this, we have a society full of burnt-out women trying to juggle a billion things at once while leaving herself at the bottom of the list. I feel as women and as society, we need to honour women's bodies and menstruation and to address it openly Our society needs to shift its perception of the monthly period and to provide even just one day a month for each woman where she can rest and honour her cyclic nature. So, from 2016, there will be a 6-metre yurt erected on my land in Aldgate. This will be the Adelaide Hills Red Tent Temple. This is a place for women to gather, a central core for women's nourishment. Amongst things that will happen there, I'll be facilitating the Celebration Day for Girls, which is an Australian initiative that supports girls and their mothers at this special threshold in both of their lives. The one-day workshop provides an affirming, grounded and connected celebration of the journey into womanhood. If you want more information, it's all in the goodie bags. So finally, I hope that tonight is not just about touching the lives of those girls in Uganda, but also about touching your lives, so that you might go away with a deeper connection with being a woman. And for the men in the audience, a much better understanding of their mothers, wives, partners, daughters and sisters. So now my friend Mia Handshin will speak about Plan Australia and the Ugandan girls we're supporting tonight. The cause is the perfect match for the film. Thank you, Leanne, for your willingness to say yes and let's do it. I'm a bit emotional now. And thank you all so much for coming. I just thought you'd like to know that just from the ticket sales tonight, we've actually, and not even including the silent auction, so we'll let you know about that later, we've actually supported 800 girls to continue their education next year. So, without further ado, I want to say tonight be great. I'm ever so grateful for you to come. It's because of you that we've been able to make this difference. Thank you and enjoy the film.
I'm here because I was a lucky girl, and now I'm a lucky woman. In fact, blessed is probably a better way to put it. Sure, when I think back to when I was a younger woman, particularly reflecting on the topic of this evening's documentary, I admit that there were times when I cursed being a girl, when I cursed the fact that I had my period because it was uncomfortable or it was a nuisance. But I didn't miss out on an education because of it. And the reality is that for millions of girls in the developing world today, having their period can often mean that they drop out of school altogether because they don't have access to the kinds of sanitary products or sanitation facilities that we have taken for granted. Sadly, the bigger picture in relation to girls is that for many reasons, being born a girl in many parts of the world, even today, is in fact a bit like a curse, because girls are more likely to be malnourished and to live on less than $1 a day. Girls are more likely to be subjected to sexual and other forms of violence and abuse. They are more likely to be withdrawn from their schooling to participate in domestic duties. Every year, 14 million girls are forced or coerced into early marriage. Every 2 seconds, another girl is forced or coerced to marry. I'm sensing that many of you here this evening are here because you get this and because you want to support Fiona and Leanne and their extraordinary efforts to contribute to a cause that will make a difference in the lives of young women on the other side of the world. And as a long-standing and passionate supporter of Plan, I really have to extend gratitude to Fiona and Leanne and to you all for coming, and really appreciate the opportunity just to briefly let you know a little bit about Plan. Who in the audience is familiar with Plan? A good showing, and I know a few of you will be wearing the T-shirts from now on, which is fantastic. So Plan, for those who aren't familiar, is one of the world's oldest and largest leading child rights organisations. Their programs reach 56 million children in 51 developing countries, and Plan is particularly committed to fighting for the rights of girls. And what's different about the way that Plan works is that Plan actively involves children and young people in making the decisions about their work on the ground. And it was this that attracted me to Plan in the first place. And they work very much at the grassroots level with an approach they call sustainable community development, which means they employ local people and support local enterprises wherever and whenever they can to deliver their projects. They're not political and they're not religious. When you booked your ticket, and as referenced by Leanne, you may have read a little bit about Plan's work in Uganda through the Menstrual Hygiene Project. As we know, for many women in Australia, getting our period results in a quick trip to the shops to get our monthly supply of pads and tampons and maybe a bit of chocolate. Those are partial to that. I hear Fiona's call to honour that time even more so, and that call to action for Australian women. And I also note that for many girls in Uganda, managing their period, as Leanne has already noted, I think it's worth repeating, involves the use of old rags, mattress foam, old leaves, banana fibres. These ineffective alternatives are also unhygienic and can result in significant health consequences as a result of infection. The reality is that 1 out of 10 African schoolgirls skips school or drops out entirely due to a lack of menstrual products and poor access to appropriate sanitation. The inability to effectively manage menstruation contributes to absences of up to 4 to 5 school days per month, equating to as much as 20% of the academic year intentionally skipped, simply due to menstruation. Eventually, many of these girls drop out of school entirely, increasing their likelihood of teen pregnancy, health complications and early marriage, and further limiting their future career and economic opportunities. So through Plan's partnership with social enterprise AfriPads, local women are employed to make low-cost, reusable pads, and they make these kits available to local girls and women. That's what you're supporting tonight. And to date, Plan has supported nearly 3,000 girls and young women by providing access to these pads, thereby helping them to stay in school. It's extraordinary to think, Fiona, that just being here this evening is going to extend that support by 800 young women. Through Plan's project, thousands of other young women and girls are receiving exactly what I think, Fiona, you're calling for in being provided with specialist menstrual hygiene management education through their schools and health clubs. So just for a portion of your individual ticket, it just bears noting that 4 Ugandan girls will be provided with menstrual kits for 1 year. Plan knows it is extremely fortunate, blessed to have people like Fiona and Leanne willing to commit their time and energy to pull together an evening like this. There's a huge amount that goes into it, and I know that. So, and of course, Plan is very grateful to you all for your attendance and your generosity here this evening. And in closing, I just particularly want to honour the way in which Fiona and Leanne have gathered an amazing network of conscious and compassionate businesses in support of this evening, and to acknowledge your passion and your persistence. You undoubtedly have made a difference. You've made a difference to us all just by bringing us together and being a part of this community here this evening. But you've made a difference in the lives of girls and young women whom you will never meet, but whom I know will feel very lucky, very blessed to have received your support. Thank you.